The government is like a baby's alimentary canal, with a happy appetite at one end and no responsibility at the other. Looking back at the recent history of the world, I find it amazing how far civilization has retrogressed so quickly. As recently as World War I, granted the rules were violated at times, we had a set of rules of warfare in which armies didn't make war against civilians, soldiers fought soldiers. Then came World War II and Hitler's philosophy of total war, which meant the bombing not only of soldiers but of factories that produced their rifles, and, if surrounding communities were also hit, that was to be accepted. Then, as the war progressed, it became common for the combatants simply to attack civilians as part of military strategy. By the time the 1980s rolled around, we were placing our entire faith in a weapon whose fundamental target was the civilian population. If freedom, democracy, and the rights of man are to be preserved through the ages, free men and women must accept the responsibilities that go with their freedoms. We think there is a parallel between federal involvement in education and the decline in profit over recent years. I had a copy of the Soviet Constitution and I read it with great interest. And I saw all kinds of terms in there that sound just exactly like our own: freedom of assembly and freedom of speech and so forth. Of course, they don't allow them to have those things, but they're in there in the Constitution. But I began to wonder about the other constitutions. Everyone has one, and our own, and why so much emphasis on ours? And then I found out, and the answer was very simple: that's why you don't notice it at first. But it is so great that it tells the entire difference. All those other constitutions are documents that say, we, the government, allow the people the following rights, and our Constitution says we the people, allow the government the following privileges and rights. We give our permission to government to do the things that it does. And that's the whole story of the difference, why we're unique in the world and why no matter what our troubles may be, we're going to overcome. Tax increases don't eliminate deficits, they increase government spending. If we're free to dare, and we are, if we're free to give, and we are, then we're free to shape the future and have within our grasp all that we dream the future will be. One legislator accused me of having a 19th century attitude on law and order. That is a totally false charge. I have an 18th century attitude. That is when the Founding Fathers made it clear that the safety of law-abiding citizens should be one of the government's primary concerns.